Hello and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show. It is fantastic to see you all from across the globe. Of course, we are here in the United Kingdom. One of us is streaming from the northeast of England. The other is in Wales. What part of Wales is it? Is it the north?
It's
Well,
the
north,
north, sort of north centre.
north
North
centre
centre.
of
Yeah, I used
Wales.
to live in the northwest of Wales, and now I live in the north centre.
Yes.
Near
Well,
Rill, but
well,
not
we've
in Rill, thank God.
and I've just come back from the south coast, where I had two great motor racing days. On the Thursday, we went to Goodwood Motor Circuit, which I have to say is one of the loveliest places you could go and see. Even in the as the Borders lot would say, the dreich weather. It was pretty horrendous weather, but it was still amazing to see the old adverts at the Goodwood Motor Circuit, and to watch some of the cars go around. If you saw I put one of the shorts on YouTube, which was a Capri racing around in the wet, which was great fun actually. But there were some other cars there too. They had the performance driving club, so they were doing the McLarens. There were some Ferraris. There were some Porsches. Yeah, and there was a kind of corporate day when we were there, and Nicholas, my son, and I were kind of waiting under the shed to try and keep dry. And then of course they all came out because there was a fire alarm. And I thought, well, we could just join in with the group and say, oh yes, we're here. We're here with the corporate. This corporate group, and because I know, and we're
You're
here to
so
drive the
dodgy,
cars.
Hatrick. You are so dodgy. It's frightening.
Absolutely. But we didn't. We were honest in the end, and we ended up getting soaked. We
Second-hand
went up
car
to the top.
salesman, you are.
Oh, absolutely. But we thought, should we try it? Should we try it? But we went up to the top of the start finish straight. What was actually on top of the pits, and we got a great view of the start finish straight at Goodwood. So that was great fun. Actually, that was really good. Simon has joined us. It's good to see you, Simon. And he's going to come back on the show again very, very soon. And I know we've got Sedgy as well, and a few others in that. We've got DTR, and we did as well have Darren. Darren Turner was watching as well. He left a message earlier on.
Darren's not that far from where I am.
That's right.
He's 50 miles at most, some 50 miles up, 60.
Yeah. Well, Larson is in Southampton. So if Larson joins us later on, because we were very near there. Glasgow. Good to see you, Glasgow. It's good to see you. I hope you're well. We've got the whole crew coming in now. But yes, so I've had a lovely week off. Rue has been working away as he always does. But yes, but I've had a nice week off, and then I was at the Silverstone Classic on Saturday, which was a bit of a bank holiday washout in terms of the weather. But there were some phenomenal cars there, though. Oh, just if you're a car fan, Billy. Well,
Hello, Billy.
welcome along. It's good to see you. If it's the first time, it's lovely to have you along. Feel free to ask any questions, and we'll try and do our best to answer them. And Helen is here too, as well, which is great. But yeah, so it's been a good week, and then that's even before we even talked about Formula One and also the GT7 races, which we will get to as well. But if you're a car fan, which I know a lot of our viewers are, I have to say it's worth going on the internet to the Silverstone GP site, or just find out to get the images from the Silverstone Classic Grand Prix, because the cars that were there, they could send you the shivers down your back when you see them. They were, because Simon, you were there yesterday, and it was dry for me, but chilly at times. Yeah, well, it was warm, but also freezing when it was wet. So Billy's saying hello, Roo. So it's good to see you. But I know we had a phenomenal time, and I have to say, now this is the thing, we've always normally complained. I complain about the Formula One engines, but when we were on Brooklands Corner, and the bridge was kind of in front of us, so to our left, so you couldn't really hear the cars coming. And we sat down. It was fine. It was still wet on the track, but at least it was dry. It was sunny. This was about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon, and all you heard was this whoosh and this as this thing went past. But it was quite loud. To be fair, it was quite loud.
So
definitely
better in real life than on the.
It's definitely better.
Because you posted, didn't you post that little?
I did it I made it a YouTube short.
A short, is it a short?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it covers my camera slightly. My phone piece was so wet, it was beginning.
I said it sounded like a jigsaw going through thin hardboard.
To be fair, I would love to go to the Grand Prix. I think actually the Grand Prix would be amazing. because I think the atmosphere. I mean, it was actually surprisingly busy. I
So
mean, it's a
Ian's
huge
asking
event.
if that's the W12. I guess he means the Mercedes.
Yes, it was a Mercedes.
Yeah.
It was being driven by Esteban Gutierrez or
Yes.
Gutierrez. So yeah, no, and he was absolutely flying. Simon's got loads of YouTube shorts coming out of all the old stuff. Yeah, I wish I'd been
Simon
able to
posts
take
a
pictures
load
of
of
it.
fantastic little shorts of all sorts of things. Everything from old houses to castles to lots of zoo stuff, of course, because Simon's a zookeeper or was a zookeeper for a long time. Yeah, so he does lots of shorts. So I'm pretty sure he'll shove a load
Yeah,
of
there should be some great
good
stuff
stuff up.
coming on there. But no, it was really good, and we also managed to get into the pit lane, which was underneath one of the main auction centres on the main Silverstone pit area. But it was incredible. We saw the 1950s Ferraris, and they were literally meters away. In fact, we could actually get to it, and it was phenomenal. And the noise and the engine, they were starting up the old Formula One cars from like the late 80s and the 90s.
Straight eights.
They were something else.
Did a V12, which was not ever. It was their first V12, and it wasn't ever so successful. But the sound on those cars is just something else.
It was worth it. It was worth it for that. I mean, it was £100 to get in, and I was like, as a Scotsman, I'm thinking, that's quite a lot of money. But at least that did cover Nicholas, so Nicholas got in for free.
It was £50 each, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was £50 each. And to be fair for that, at first I thought, the weather. I thought, could I even be bothered to carry on with all of that? But no, it was definitely worth it. It was
had his super poncho on. He was in a big umbrella.
Yeah, and he also did.
You're from Scotland. You should be used to it.
I'll need to put that on. He drove one of these the young driver things. So he did that. £25 for 15 minutes.
Turns coming soon, I think.
But but yeah, so he did well on that. So that was good fun, and there was a wide variety of things to do. And they also had tents of all sorts of merchandise that surprisingly was not car related. They had some stuff there, just like clothes and everything else. That I thought, oh well.
What they're doing in this chat? They're talking about blooming football.
Is there football on tonight? Is there?
I don't know. The Glasgow and them and Simon started it, of course. Talking about Man U to Glasgow. I don't know.
That's all right. But yeah, so no, it's been a really good week, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. I
wish the weather had been better. A lot of fun in both of those.
Yeah, it just would be nice to get a little bit closer to the action.
We were talking just before, the stream started that Harry Metcalf did a sort of a review of the auction as well, and showed some really nice cars at Silverstone as well, didn't he? So 6R4s and all this kind of stuff. And they had some Skyline GTR 33s, which is my favourite Skyline. That's my favourite Skyline. And I tell you what, they just look so chunky.
Yeah, but you know what I found?
Chunky.
That I'm quite keen to have. So keen that because I love a sports car, but if you look at a classic car or a classic sports car, they cost tens of thousands and thousands and thousands. Well, there was a stand called the Quantum Car Company. You've probably heard of it already. They're based in Devon. Now it's like a kit car, they make these old sports cars that look like Aston Martins from the 1950s and 60s.
Okay.
But they look phenomenal because they look absolutely beautiful. There was one in British Racing Green. And it basically costs about 12 grand for the whole chassis and the whole thing. That they give everything to it, even though that includes like lining the interior, giving you seats and all the bits and pieces, and then you basically go and get a shed and build it. So it's So
this is a British tradition, actually,
of building it. It's based on a Mazda MX-5. So you can have anything that will fit the MX-5 or the Miata. That engine, the 1.5 or possibly 2 liter, would fit. But I was thinking,
1.8. It was a 1.8.
1.8. Could we fit an Alfa Romeo engine in it? Yes. And then get some nice exhausts on it too?
You can fit anything in anything if you've got a big enough hammer.
Yeah, to do it.
How it works.
But when you think how easy it would be, I actually looked up Alfa Romeo engines. Easy. And here's the thing.
But it is possible.
They were lovely old guys that run the company. You can see they've been doing it for a long time. And I said, it is a beautiful car and an amazing thing, but I'm not a mechanic. Is it possible to build it? Because he says it will cost you about another £20,000 if you got somebody else to build it.
When it existed, I don't think it exists anymore, a magazine called Car and Car Conversions.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in the days before Max Power and people with two small peanuts for brain cells that used to bash against each other, going. You know, when ICE used to mean big stereo or something, whatever.
Yeah.
Before that, there was Car and Car Conversions, and it was a magazine, CCC, for.
Yeah.
They're on tennis now. They for people that wanted to modify their car severely and to take it racing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, and they used to have things like Ford Fiestas that had an Astra GTE 2-litre engine put in it.
Goodness.
Souped up to like 190, 200 horsepower, but rear-wheel drive. So they'd taken the engine out and they'd turned it into a rear-wheel drive race car, but it was a Fiesta. So all of these things are possible. You've got to sort of...
Yeah, as long as it's... I mean, the bonnet looks quite big. And so, you know, it's quite a bit... I'll need to get the picture of the Quantum, because this one had actually sold, but it was British Racing Green and it looked incredible. But I will come to that in a wee second.
I think we've got another Scotsman here.
But yeah, so
Billy.
it was...
Hello, Billy, how you doing? How you doing?
Well, you're very welcome, Billy. You're very welcome, because I'm married to... I'm Scottish. Well, half Scottish, half Czech. And also my wife is Scottish. She's full Scottish from Glasgow. So, so yes. So no, that's
Glasgow
the thing.
Actually in Scotland, or is it now its own special place? I always thought Glasgow. The Supergran, wasn't she from Glasgow?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, maybe. I know that the two ones.
She acted like she's from Glasgow.
Oh, what was the one?
Fuck you people!
Remember the Scottish comedians were that used to do kids television. Were from Glasgow, I think. They used to call thingy after her. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
The Crankies?
Yes, the Crankies. They were from Glasgow. They used to do kids television, all that kind of thing. That and you can't beat Ramsey Nisbet. So that's the Gregor Fisher. Yeah, he was very good.
It's when you see him in Love Actually. That's actually really
that is
He's a very good actor. He's in his two films I like. I mean, Love Actually is just a bit of a laugh, isn't it? You don't take it too seriously. But there's a film called Wild Target with Emily Blunt, and it's got
I think
the ginger from Harry Potter, Rupert Grint.
Yes,
I think Emily Blunt, and you got Bill Nighy as an assassin.
Yeah, yes, I have seen that.
And Greg Fish is like he keeps getting hurt.
Yeah, trying to find him.
Excuse me, he keeps getting hurt, and it's like you shot my ear off. It's just the way he does it is so funny. Fantastic.
He is very good.
Can
I quickly give a quick plug for tomorrow night? Because at 9 o'clock or 9:15 tomorrow night, we have Tiny Turnip, who has been very much requested. Yes. So we're having to do it slightly later because she has a family and she needs to put them all to bed. So by the time she's ready, it's 9 o'clock. Probably starting at 9:15. I think I have put 9:15 on the video. But that'll be tomorrow night. So make sure that you join us for that, because that will be a lot of fun and it'll be live on YouTube. I know that she streams on YouTube and also on Twitch as well. But I'm looking forward to that.
She's got a Discord thingamajiggy, and she does these.
Very busy Discord.
She does a bit things. She sort of does like you used to do, the HHTCR. She does stuff like Diaco with them lot. She's got quite a bit of a community that's grown quite fast.
She's got bairns, absolutely.
So you'll be able to.
That's a good Scottish term. The bairns.
Are we allowing the swearing? Are we allowing the swearing?
I didn't see anything in there. No, mine.
Well, it's because you're not a. I'm going to hide that. Sorry, Billy. I'm not going to. He tells me off for saying it, so.
Oh well, okay, but not to worry. I'm sure we'll be fine.
It's the English Scottish equivalent of the Irish feck.
Yeah. Now here we go. So we also have Super GT, who has agreed to come back on the show. So we are just waiting for him to come with the time, with the date in the calendar, and then we will get Super GT back on the show. But I'm also hoping to have Digit Gaming as well. I'm trying to get in touch with him and a few others too. So we're really going to go at it as much as we can to try and get all the big guests over the next, especially coming into the autumn and into the winter. Digit Gaming and of Super GT as well. Yeah, so it's that he has agreed.
You getting Digit coming on? We like Diddy.
Yes, I did speak to him a wee while ago, but I'm going to go back and chase it up and try and get him back on. I'm really going to try and get at least one every week if we can, or as much as close as that as possible. And I've had a little message from John Cleland, the BT double touring car champion, and possibly interested because he tweets an awful lot. So, Scotty Senior, I think he's retired. I think Scotty has now retired.
Yes, apparently. Someone was saying this a couple of weeks ago, was it? Might be the last time we think that Scotty's he's kind of washed his hands of streaming or
and playing games and that on it.
He might play the game, but I just don't think he certainly doesn't get involved in the race, which is a pity because he was super fast and very entertaining. Some of the best racing we saw was the first HHTCR.
Oh yeah, he was very good in that.
Him and Jack would disappear off into the distance and then just play games with each other. Overtaking. I'll never forget that the Fuji race where every lap the other one ended up overtaking, and then they'd overtaken. It was kind of like, which one's going to be there at the end? And there was a fraction of a second between them at the end. So entertaining. I think I nearly lost my voice commentating on that one.
Yes, it was. They were good. So we've got a few folk, hopefully coming on in the next few weeks. That will be some big stars, and if I could get John Cleland, that would be would be amazing.
And he was quite an entertaining driver as well, wasn't he?
He was a proper, didn't take any nonsense kind of stuff. And I've also got connections to Matt Neal now as well. So because he's had how many championships with Honda in the touring cars.
So the long rivalry between him and Jayton and Pluto.
So that would be that would be something. But so I'm going to try and do a lot more getting into like the touring car drivers as well. And
Patrick, what's going on? This is amazing.
So we've got all of that to look forward to, and then to try and build things up. But as we are supposed to be talking about GT7 and F1.
Apparently Jack is part of the BMW esports team now. Well, he was very talented. He's very fast.
He can only be about 15 or 16, and he's quite young.
He was about 15 or 16 then.
Yeah,
so
he's 17 or 18.
Getting on
18,
19 now, I guess. Ian probably keeps in touch with him.
But let us know the kind of people that you would like. Put them in the comments or email me, because we're always trying to look for new suggestions, and especially if you know them or if you've got any kind of connections with them. Then we would do our best to try and try and get them on the show. It'd be amazing. I also had a quick picture of Bruno Senna. I didn't quite that he was that was at the Silverstone, and he's such a lovely person. You could just tell straight away just how nice he was, because he stood there for about half an hour, just simply signing autographs, taking pictures, giving people hugs, and people were and you could tell that he was genuinely happy to be there and interested. Had a very lovely nature, I have to say. And people were in tears. A lot of it was quite. Even I was almost quite emotional, because I think just because he's the nephew of Ayrton Senna, and having him there, and that kind of connection made a lot of people very teary-eyed.
There's the famous quote, isn't there? That
if you think I'm fast,
well, if you think I'm fast,
nephew.
see my nephew. And he had, because the first time I heard of him was I was saying to you on over WhatsApp, trying to remember what the show was, but I remember that he would do the equivalent of the Top Gear test track. Was him driving whatever car they were using around a multi-story car park, and the show was a Sky show called Vroom Vroom, relatively short-lived.
All right, yeah.
But he also did the Channel 5's classic car show, which only lasted one season, which is unfortunate because I really enjoyed that show.
A lot of Channel 5 stuff actually was quite good in terms of its.
But they did one season. It's Quentin Wilson and
that's before
Jodie
he signed off to MG.
She's 6'2".
And before he was bought by MG.
They were looking at old cars, and driving them around places and doing what
I think I saw some of that.
Used to do. Yeah. And then they had a car going around a tiny little track, which may have been at Gaydon, where you.
Oh yeah.
Little track there. I can't remember exactly, but Bruno Senna was driving them as well. And it's ridiculous because there was one lap he did. And it was in the old 190 2.3 16-valve Cosworth. Remember the Evolution?
Oh, the Mercedes thing.
But it had an automatic gearbox.
All right.
What? I mean, literally, it's accelerating down. This is meant to be a sort of the homologation special for a touring car,
Yeah,
a successful touring car, and it's going. It's a 1980s, 1990s automatic. It's like,
yeah. Well, the thing is, when we were in the queue, we could have probably got a photograph taken, or we didn't have anything to sign, so we kind of felt a bit of a loose end because everyone had brought stuff up to sign, or they were taking pictures. But and some people just wanted to shake his hand, to be fair. But it was I managed to get a little picture. I'll need to try and see if I can put that up onto YouTube as a.
Ian says he's met Matt Neal at Snetterton this year.
Yes, yeah. I saw that. Now that is, that would. He's a decent
career
guy.
Was sort of it ended up being fragmented, didn't it? But he's still done very well. He went in Formula E and he's ended up as in other sort of sports car driving. He's done very well, and he was in Formula One for a while, so it's not like he's rubbish or anything like that. He's nice, super duper. It just never seemed to quite work out for him, did it?
It was just quite interesting. What was annoying is our usual couch of our interviewers. Oh, interviewed hardly asked him anything of any interest, and didn't really able to portray anything at all. And I mean, if he had seen that, if the interview had actually seen, because there were people building Lego. They had this little game when we first approached the stage and saw him. There were kids building Lego Formula One cars. You can now get a Senna Formula One car in Lego. And unfortunately, we were just a few minutes late because my son he would have definitely wanted to have a go if he could have done. And Senna was up there, and he was congratulating them all at the end. And he was very witty with it too, actually, genuinely funny. But just if the interviewer had actually seen Senna with the crowds, Bruno Senna with the crowds, to notice the emotion of all that was palpable, and that was it. It kind of softened everything else that was going on.
Sky, these are the people that it's like asking somebody on Sky Sports F1 and Formula One to understand what a camera's for. To show things instead of to look really clever. Because you said it was live. I already knew it was live because it had popped up. So I watched a bit of it, and then they had bits of the races, and the commentator was very good. I think it was the guy that used to do British touring cars. I can never remember his name, but he's an excellent commentator. He was very good. But then they would go to their man doing the interviews.
Yeah.
And it's like, hello, I'm really interested in what... No. And I thought, get off. And they had far too much of that and not enough of the stuff you want to see.
Yeah, it's how do you feel?
Paint dry, I'll get some paint. Watch it dry. I don't need to turn the telly on and waste electricity to do that.
Yeah.
Annoying.
No, it was they were selling them for £69 because he's saying it was £80 normally. But he was there selling the Lego for £69 at Silverstone, which actually was quite a good deal. And it was interesting is when Ayrton died, Bruno was pulled out of motorsport and missed a number of years of lower formulas, so his talent was unfulfilled. Because you kind of felt you wanted to see what went wrong. It was like he was seeing, what happened. But he's on one of the videos, one of the early Senna videos, when Senna's sitting there on his little boat, and his little shorts, and his nephew's there as well, which was nice. So they had those were the great videos that they used to do in the early 90s, and they were so much better at interviewing the drivers and just getting the emotion and
look
what
at
they
who
were
they
really
had.
like.
Look at the kind of people they had doing the interviews, and then the point came where it was no longer Murray Walker or Martin Brundle or someone that knows what they're talking about. I mean, even when you've got sort of a relatively intelligent ex-racing driver or current racing driver that you can tell. I mean, like the Jackie Stewarts of this world, really articulate, but really knows about the racing. They've lived it. And then they started getting generic.
Yeah.
I mean,
that didn't really have the
people
skill
from BBC children's television, for God's sake, or breakfast television, and they shoved him into Formula One or motorsports. And they got rid of the likes of Louise Goodman. And Louise Goodman, she was excellent. She still is. She still works in British touring cars.
She does touring cars, yeah.
Because she, again, lived it. She worked for Eddie Jordan in the Jordan racing team. Her husband was, I can't remember his blooming name, but he died. He was a technical director for...
That's right.
Arrows,
one of the ones, yeah.
So, she really knew what she was talking about. And in British touring cars, it's a pleasure to watch her go up and shove the microphone in somebody's face because she knows she's not going to go, "Oh, so how does it feel?" Oh, God, if I hear that question one more time, how does it feel that you're sat on a chair? How does it feel when you've got new underpants on? Shut up.
No, that is it. That is it. Yeah. So,
sorry, no, I was going to say Penny Mallory. You know, I keep going on about
Penny
Mallory.
Yeah.
Penny
Well, I saw
Mallory,
Mike Brewer. Mike Brewer was there. He was doing.
You said
a
Mike Brewer
show.
was there. So this is reminding me. And Penny, so you had Penny Mallory. They had an Irish fella that moved to Top Gear to try and save Top Gear. It didn't work.
Oh, that was terrible.
I remember his name. He had these glasses on.
Oh, I know.
But they replaced him with Jason Plato, and I just thought it was so funny because Penny Mallory and Plato, they used to pit them against each other in these races.
Yeah, that's
invariably she'd win. He didn't let her win because he's incredibly competitive. It's because she's a talented rally driver, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a video on YouTube. This is hilarious to me. There's a video on YouTube of Colin McRae driving one of the new Ford Focus RS rally cars. Okay?
Yeah. And
she's the passenger, and she's interviewing him while he's driving along quite fast on these gravel roads, talking about it. And she's asking brilliant questions and very insightful questions, talking about the car, talking about how the development of the car, all this kind of stuff. And then you go down, there's like 200 comments. And there's a bunch of people, quite a lot of Americans going, "That reporter's really good. She seems to know what she's talking about. You must have scared her sitting in his car." And it's like, fortunately, there was a few people that knew what they were talking about. And they went, "No, because it's not his car, it's her car. Because she was his teammate in the Ford rally team." And he wasn't driving his car, he was driving her car. So no, she wasn't scared sitting next to her friend and idol and teammate. So that's
actually, it would be great to get Penny Mallory on the show. I just wonder.
She's got a website. She does motivational speaking now.
All right. Oh well, it'll probably cost about £1,000 for 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
On there, so we'll have to.
I'd rather have Penny Mallory than Louise Aitken Walker because I always fancied Penny Mallory a lot more, and she's still pretty.
You never know; she might do it for free. But that's the thing. Now, I was looking at one of the comments here. That DTR Ian says, "I've got the road-going version of the Lego Senna, and Bruno Senna has won 4 WC races. Actually, just as we were leaving, the WC race was on, and they were good cars. Actually, they were quick, and they sounded nice. They were. It was a really exciting race. Actually, watching that, I just wish that they didn't have as many TV screens as they do at Formula One, so you couldn't always see everything. You know, you're kind of limited to how much you could see. But it was still reasonable. I would recommend it. I have to say, I think overall as a thing to do. But hopefully, maybe next year we might get to the Grand Prix and actually see a proper race and see what it's like.
It's so annoying. All the places you want to go to cost so much now. Even things like Goodwood cost so much for the actual events.
Yeah. Oh,
but they've made the same mistake with Goodwood, the Festival of Speed and Revival and stuff, where they get some random person from Channel 4 going around. And it's like, no, why?
Yeah, just get really good people. Yeah.
Get people that know what they're talking about, and it's just so bland. It's bland. We all loved James Hunt and
Murray Walker
and Brundle because and Johnny Herbert and all these people because they were brutal and knowledgeable.
Actually, Villeneuve is good. Villeneuve is brilliant.
What a stud! We love it. The stuff he comes out with.
About Ricardo, they never asked him again on Sky News or Sky F1 after he had made his interview about Ricardo. They kind of quickly went away. The last Grand Prix I went to was Donington 1993, where I saw Senna win, and now that is something I will take with me my whole life because it was amazing.
Still got the footage, haven't you?
Jonathan, I think, might well have it.
Well, you sent it. One of you sent it to me. One of you two.
That was from the actual. That was from F1. To be fair.
Oh, is
I
that
think.
not what we're talking about? I thought. Sorry, I missed what you were saying.
Yes, yeah, no, but yeah, that was that we
Hello,
were at the old, not the old hairpin, but the kind of the chicane towards the end, the back of the circuit, and I'll never forget seeing just Senna coming second. He was second place coming into the chicane, or it goes up the hill, and then he disappears off, and then he came back and he was first. And he was seventh he was in seventh place at the first corner, and he was leading the race by the end of the first lap.
And what do they call it?
And well, they said it was that lap of the gods, wasn't it?
Lap of the gods.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah.
Incredible.
Simon says it won't be as good as Donington, though. Well, I always thought if I could ever manage to get onto the grid and then happen to meet Martin Brundle going by, and if it was dodgy weather, and I was thinking, well, the last Grand Prix I was at was Donington '93. Maybe we'll get something similar. If I went to the British Grand Prix next year, that might get his attention. But of course, he raced in that race. He was in a Benetton with Schumacher, I think, wasn't he? And that was and Schumacher crashed out. In fact, we saw him go into the sand pit at the end of the straight. But yeah, no, that was the most amazing race. So shall we go?
I was just going to say, do you know who the original Regenmeister was? Rainmaster. They keep calling it, like Schumacher and Hamilton, and they keep giving. Well,
Senna was the rain. Senna was known for his skill in the.
He was. But who was the first person to be called Rainmaster? Regenmeister.
Oh.
It was in Germany, and it wasn't on some tiny little circuit in the East Midlands. 5 miles from the place I was born, the very house I was born in. I used to cycle there.
You're going to have to let me know.
It's wee Jackie Stewart.
Jackie Stewart, was it? Jackie
Stewart? Wee Jackie Stewart. He won in the torrential downpour at the Nordschleife.
Goodness.
By 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. And he was like, didn't he like that? but he just wiped the floor with them all. He completely destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
And he ended up with the title Regenmeister.
No.
Oh, Simon knew.
Yes. Simon is so good with his knowledge of that. Now, shall we go on to the Grand Prix then? Shall we go on to the topic of F1?
Yes.
Because we saw another British winner. Lando Norris finally getting his act together.
Didn't he? He got
getting it together. From
He's
pole.
Been struggling getting off the line. So even this time, he lost the place to old Doodah. And on board,
to Verstappen.
If you can ignore the idiot that's doing, because I watched the highlights, if you can ignore the idiot doing the commentary, that's
Oh, I know they are
so annoying.
The Sky Sports is slightly better than the F1 coverage. Then they do the two. Both of them do it on YouTube now. But it's I
mean, it's, when Jonathan Palmer chimes in, and I find that less annoying than the normal guy, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And you could hear it bogged down. He just couldn't get the power down. So I don't know. He obviously he's lost places in the last 4 or 5 races now.
Yeah.
But he did a cracking job. So second,
he got it back and then drove away. I think we're just keen to see, the championship come alive a bit because
they've had another update, McLaren.
Yeah.
And of course, Lando has said that he's disappointed in the way he drove because before, I think the quote he said was something on the lines of that he's not driving like a world champion. He's, So now he's got 2 wins, which is great. It's taken too long for him to get.
Although at least, but the good thing is he's got Piastri backing him up, so he's scoring well, which is in effect, taking points off Red Bull. Not quite Verstappen, but it is at least. I mean, he did actually pull some points back, which is good. And Monza, it'd be interesting to see what they do for Monza because I think that's in a week's time, isn't it? That's in the Sunday.
Yeah, more updates for Monza. There's Logan Sargent. Oh my goody aunt.
Poor thing. He just. I think
he's
overdriving the car.
But he's overdriving the car. He's trying he's trying to keep his seat, and of course, psychologically, it's a killer, isn't it? Because you're just going to try so hard. But did you see why he crashed?
I didn't actually see that. Right. I saw that there was a crash, but I didn't see what happened.
Because when you see that he's crashed, and you're like, "That's a really strange place to crash." That's not somewhere where you normally see a crash. What he'd done is he'd been trying so hard, overdriving it. He'd gone in the wet, 2 tyres on the grass, and just put his foot down.
And just
clock that he was on the grass, and way bang. played the
Ah,
bongos with both ends of his cars. And the ball.
Dutchy has joined us. Good to see you, Dutchy, and thanks
Whee!
for the like. That because I know that he works different hours, so it's great to have you along. That it's good to see you. That but yeah, no. So we're just on the topic of Formula One and the race that we saw yesterday. Yeah, it is beginning. I mean, there's a lot of battles right the way through. Hamilton did well, coming right up from 14th to 8th.
Yeah,
Maybe could have done a wee bit
he
more.
got knocked out in quali 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see the qualifying. I was driving.
But
Oh, I was
it's
at the
wet.
Silverstone day.
It was a dry. I hate them. I actually hate drying qualifyings because it's got qualifyings. Sound like I'm.
You could work for Sky.
Hello, I am from qualifyings. We love you here, English. Anyway,
So
I'll try again.
with an apostrophe S at the end of it, qualifyings.
Qualifying. It's
So-
like that. It's like that Geordie from Seaham that I used to know. For some reason, we were chatting one day, and he was something just caught me as funny, and he came in. Well, Andy, like you're going to be circulating on the street, and I said, no. What they got to do, because they should do the accent back. What they got to do, like, is you got to straightulate on a circuit. And from that point onwards, we would just be really silly. Anyway, no. Yeah, as the track's drying, everyone that's coming over the line is getting the fastest time because it's drying and rubbering up. And it's got nothing to do with whether, I mean, it's almost, you'd have to be in a really bad car for it to not get the fastest time. So it's that thing about getting the exact right time, which they used to do. If you remember back in the, it was a Senna thing and the Schumacher thing where they would time being the last car over the line because it's got the most rubber and the track's in the best condition, the track would come to you. But in the wet, of course, it's like ridiculous.
No, it's quite a thing.
Like from Carlisle. Says somebody from Norfolk. I can do a Norfolk accent. I'll figure out how to do it. Ready? Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. See, Canaries, get it? I'll do the canary thing.
So yes, but it was a good race, and it was great to see Hamilton coming through the field. Alonso did some good moves, and quite a few of them were really going at it, which was good. Even Stroll overtook a few people, but then I think went further back later on,
and all that kind of stuff.
And Leclerc did well coming through the field. He managed to hang on to Piastri a good bit of that way, and
he had fresher tyres, was right up his bum.
Yeah,
and I expect it's better than that. I can't do a Norfolk accent. I have no idea what a Norfolk accent sounds like. We've had this conversation a few years ago, me and Simon, what a Norfolk accent is, and it's kind of. I just keep thinking it sounds like West Country, but I'll get thrown at. I'll have stereo things thrown at me from two Norfolk people, Ian and Simon.
But no, it was a good race, and it was nice to see a bit more competition. And interesting how Verstappen really struggled with the tires, and
yet he still came second. This is why. I mean, and where was Perez? That way.
Yeah, no, you just wonder.
But it's as you say, at least Piastri was like up there getting points, taking points off of them. So, but Max got the best points he could have got. With the equipment that's been given on the day, and
the next circuits are going to be interesting.
Winning.
9 races, but they need really McLaren 1-2s and a bit more, and maybe even Hamilton.
So was it 2009 season? When Braun GP
took off at the start
for the first half of the season.
Yeah,
because it was half a second a lap. Easily half a second lap faster than the McLaren at the beginning of the season.
And
now it's half a second slower. It's even with
certainly it's a few tenths away, isn't it? They've made good on McLaren for coming up from nowhere to beating Mercedes, beating all these other car companies, and then it's something. And DTR just said Ferrari need a Monza win. I have to say on Leclerc's performance. I wonder if they're trying to build up.
Which one? There's another there's a Kimi Antonelli or something.
Yeah, Antonelli. Yeah.
There could well be a Kimi announcement. But it might be that he takes Hamilton's place in Mercedes. They might want to keep him there. So.
Yeah, or when Hamilton decides, actually, I might not go, but it's going to be interesting next year.
What is this? I know if you're a massive Ferrari fan, then I'm speaking blasphemy. I mean, I know that, but I've never had the Ferrari illness. I've never had that. Alfa Romeo, I've had that, and I still do. But I've never had. They're fine, and there's some really nice looking cars and all this kind of stuff. But I've never thought they were that good.
Yeah,
but
the 1950s stuff that we saw on Saturday were exceptional. That stuff was beautiful. But then
so
the Alfa Romeo, they would be
the 159 and the 158 and the Maserati 250F, which when they had, I don't think it's there anymore. Simon will know this. I don't think Donington Park used to have the F1 museum there, the motorsport museum there, and I went there just after my mum died. My mate Ozzy and me went there and had a look around. It was so cold. It was really cold in that building, but they had some cracking cars. And I stood in front of 2 signed Maserati 250Fs in that particular red. One of them was Fangio's and the other one was Sterling Moss's. And it's like, I was dribbling.
I know that is
so pretty. But they were all gorgeous like that. Apart from the Lancia Ferrari, which looked dumb.
Yeah.
The other one with the big fuel tanks on the side.
Yeah. No, they didn't. They weren't the same. But we've got the Real Mystic who has joined us as well. So it's good to see you. Welcome along to the channel. Good to see you. Yes, we've got lots of new people in today, which is fantastic. That maybe it's part of the people. Now?
We've got
about 8 or 9. According to the things. So and it's just out on YouTube Live. But yes, and of course, just again to plug in, we've got Tiny Turnip tomorrow night at 9:15, and we will have Super GT hopefully over the next few weeks. We'll get a date in the diary because he has says he will come back onto the show. So let's hop along to GT7. Now I've had quite an interesting. The day, yes, I was up wide awake this morning at 7:30, and even though I'm still on holiday, I thought, right, I'll get to the races. I thought, why don't I start the new races? And I was quite amazed to see the race A being a GT3 race at Red Bull Ring. Then there's GT4 at Grand Valley for race B, and then it's Group 2 at Suzuka for race C. And I thought, right, let's have a go. And I did a reasonable qualifying time, which ended up doing a 1 minute 28.8, which at the time was only a 10th off Tisney's time. But then he went half a second faster. But I beat Arkis. For once, I was ahead of Arkis for a little bit. So, and he very kindly put me in his video because I had the most disastrous race where it was just like Skittles. But I was actually the one throwing the ball at the Skittles.
This is A plus A's and S's. This is the top people, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm barely an A. I'm just on A, and now I'm an AB.
Still, I mean, because the driving standard should be a little bit better, you'd hope. Yeah.
Well, Simon Arkis was so kind because he said, "Oh, Hugh's normally very competitive, so it couldn't possibly have been his fault." But actually, it was definitely my fault. I hadn't raced for a while, and I just didn't realize we were braking, and I was just not prepared, and I bumped into people left, right, and centre. I got 7.5 seconds worth of penalties, which when you get that number of penalties, you know it's your own fault. You can't cover that with other people, really. I'm afraid it was my fault, but I did try and wait for someone. Ended up being 10th.
Takes responsibility, actually, in this day and age.
That it was my fault. It was unfortunate, but it has made me think though that when I did my video about how much I hated the new physics on Gran Turismo and I couldn't drive it and I couldn't do anything. That part of that problem was my wheel wasn't properly plugged in, and that's why the power was so. That's why it wasn't doing.
Isn't that going in our compilation of greatest quotes?
Yeah, so it wasn't actually plugged in. Well, it was half plugged in, but it did explain why things were about half a second.
Your wheel wasn't plugged in, Hatrick.
every time I turned and accelerated and braked, there was about a half a second delay of it responding. I still think it's not quite 100%, but I keep checking it. But I'm getting a bit quicker. I'm beginning to find a little bit of speed, and so I'm changing my mind. So you heard it here first. My miraculous moment of GT7. It's not terrible. It's not. It's I'm beginning to see how it works.
It just goes to show that you have the ability to adapt. That's good.
But I think definitely you can't steer and brake. You can't.
No.
You've got to be, and you've got to be on. It's all about the exits and and making the most in the slow corners.
It's almost like, and everybody knows how rubbish I am, but it's almost like someone in Phony Pony has read a physics book or driven a car for a change.
Yeah.
Like if you have too many forces on a wheels, they don't like it. So, I want to be able to brake and steer and accelerate all at the same time. No, can't. That's called not physics.
Yeah, and that's what gets you. Yeah, and cars still do react a bit. And I know that Tisney on his video today was saying that the dirty air is a big problem. And Hey 7 Leopard doesn't change its spots, But although I have to say that video I did quite well, to be fair. Darren has joined us. Good to see you, Darren. I know you were in earlier, but good to see you. I hope you're well. Welcome to our mad rant about GT7. We've covered a lot of Formula 1 and the Silverstone Classic, and now we're on to GT7. But yeah, so it's I'm beginning to get it a little bit certainly on some of the combinations. And I'm going to do a video hopefully later this week on my thoughts and also why things have changed, and trying to use some of the clips that I'm going to edit to actually show how it actually works and how I think people can go a bit quicker if they're struggling with the current GT7 physics. All right, now the real mystic says, are you on about GT7 daily races because they're rubbish? To be honest, I don't like the daily races on the sport mode. Yeah, I can understand. I mean, I tend to do the time trial on them, but I haven't done as many races recently, and I sometimes used to stream them. But
they have a lot of criticism, don't they?
Yeah, but a lot of them are just very the same, aren't they?
I never knew that there was meant to be a logic behind the races. Like there's meant to be the A's meant to be something. You keep talking about it, but I've never worked out what it was, and I'm glad really because they seem to have just lost all ability to have that logic if there ever was one.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it A's meant to be like a road car, B's meant to be like a GT car, and C's meant to be, I don't know. But
now they're just gone mainly Group 3 and Group 4. Every week, that's what you always have. And then you tend to have a road car for race A, but not always, but that's the thing. So it's quite an interesting change that they've done today by having a Group 3 at the Red Bull Ring for race A, which actually is okay.
Darren says rinse and repeat. They just, they'll leave it up a month, and then they'll do the same one, but maybe instead of having comfort softs, they'll have comfort hards.
Yeah,
same car.
I know, it's kind of. Although at least on the Group 2, you've got racing softs, and they're using the Group 2 car at Suzuka, which is actually quite a good circuit. And on that one, I definitely want to find it because I was kind of mystified as to how people could find the kind of time that they do. Like there's Tisney doing a 47.2 or a 47.7, I think it was, on his best lap. And I ended up doing a 49.1. So about 1.4 seconds away. But I began to find, and it was going through the S's at Suzuka, of a way to get a lot more speed going up the hill, the kind of as you kind of go up towards the what do they call it? The two right-handers. So that was a breakthrough for me. No, Suzuka on the Group C, the race C. Degnas, before you come to the Degnas, that long left-hander as you come up the hill, there's a way now of coming into that I've found that you can accelerate much earlier, and then the Group 2 has a lot of grip, and that allows you to be able to carry on up the hill without, because my fear is you go wide onto the grass and then that's you off completely. But it was actually, there's a way of doing that now which I've found, which I'm going to try and put in the video at the Degnas. Thank you and welcome CBO Sim Racing. Welcome to the channel. It's good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the comment. And if you're new here today, as we've got quite a lot of new people in, please hit that like button. And if you like the content and you don't want to miss any more, as we have some big interviews coming along, hit the subscribe button as well. That would be amazing. But yeah, so that is where I found, I reckon, about a second's worth of time just going up that hill. So I'm going to do a video on that. Because I just think, where are they getting the speed? How are they managing to carry it through and be so far ahead and so far away?
That question.
Well,
How
the
do
thing
people? Because
it's a
Simon
game.
cracked me up. You remember last time when he was laying, well, I got to beat Rue, and he did this 136. And I'm like, So I went on there, and I got quicker. But I'm nowhere near him. And he's like, well, I don't. And he, just before he said that, he said, I've not been on it for months. And you just want to.
I wants to rub it into you.
Shut your face.
That's all right. Now the real mystics is, if you ever find a clean race, please tell me. Yes, because race A was it was the first one. I haven't tried race B.
I've tried, right? I thought, I'll give it another go. So I thought, right, what I'll do, I won't set a time. I'll make sure I start at the back. I'll let them go, and then I'll see if I can catch them up. And I still managed to have some idiot behind me because they've crashed into it. And then they take me off going past when I'm just going to let them go. But they still managed to take me off.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they have any peripheral vision, because you're alongside them and in front. And I had that today, and someone bumped into me at the first corner, and I was already in front of them, and they still came round and just bumped you off. So it was.
They're using you as the equivalent of wall riding, aren't they?
Yeah, and that is annoying. But no, it is quite a thing.
That's why I want guns. Okay, guns.
You'll get that on Grand Theft Auto 6 next year when it comes out.
I bought Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, and 3 as a sort of a cheap package. Tried to play them, and I thought, I hate this.
I loved them. I love Grand Theft Auto 3 was great.
I just couldn't work out what the hell to do.
But, and that will come next year.
I like Saints Row. Saints Row's funny. But
Red
I
Dead
still have
Redemption's
no idea what I'm doing next. It's like, what do I do now?
But yeah, so that they've got at least an interesting section of group of races. I did try some lapping in race B, which is the Group 4 at Grand Valley. But you've got to get all these slow corners right. That's the hardest bit to kind of connect all that up. But certainly on that's going to be the thing to work on. And it's the full track as well at Grand Valley, which is tricky. Oh, Realistic has said he loves GTA San Andreas. Yeah, I think GTA 3 or it could be GTA 4. Yeah, I just love the ones with the fact that you could break windows and break stuff around.
I thought you were going to say break wind then.
Yeah, I could do that. You'll never know. You'll never know. That's the great thing about a virtual show.
Do you remember the two Ronnies? The Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town. Simon will remember. Darren will remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's
those
the thing.
Were the days.
That was it. That's all right. So, have you had? I was going to say, because I know you were away, but you said you were playing a bit of Gran Turismo? Oh yes, because we also had a time trial last week, which was the same as what now the race is in race C. I'm sure it was not the Honda. It was the Group 2, or was it a Group 3 Honda at Suzuka? I think maybe it was a Group 3 at
I've not touched it because I was poorly sick. I had my birthday present. Listen, a wee Sandy singing in Chester, but I was poorly sick. As you can probably tell, I'm still nasal. I've got this cough, and it still won't go away. But I'm kind of all right. At least my head's not trying to split itself out. But I've not gone on it. I think a couple of days ago I had some beers and went on it, and I was like, I don't know why I do that.
Well, I was concerned that because I was away on holiday for a week, I thought when I come back I will have lost what I've just started to learn before I left, because I was starting to get a little bit quicker on some of the time trials from a week past Friday. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to forget what I've learned. But actually coming back with a bit of work, although I have my eyes and my head a huge headache afterwards, because I think I was concentrating at the screen too much. When you're focused, that if your lighting's not brilliant, it can affect your eyes a wee bit. Now there's a question for you, especially for our viewers. When you play a lot of Gran Turismo and you're really trying and you're getting your times right, maybe doing quite well, do you find though it can give you headaches, or it can give you, like, once you've had a really good session and then you go away, you find you can't sleep because you're so fired up with your thoughts and with what you've been doing? I think just with the gaming attitude, because you're so kind of fixed into it.
All your neurons.
That you can't. It takes you a long time to calm your mind down before you can actually go to sleep. That I would be very interested to see if that's the case.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a thing. That's why there's all this advice about at least an hour or 2 hours worth of not using electronic majiggies
before you go to
before
bed,
you go
isn't
to
it?
sleep. For me, it makes no difference. I don't sleep anyway, so it's like.
Simon's saying that's adrenaline. Yeah, because it does take a while. But I remember the doctor saying never use your phone before you go to bed because it just you'll keep up.
Massive headache when I
Yeah,
did
I have a massive
32
headache.
laps.
32 laps into my.
I forgot the piss.
Yeah, no, it is
I
quite.
don't find I get headaches with these things anymore. My biggest problem is my eyes water. So I'm driving along on something and my eyes start watering and I'm like, so I can see. Is it literally? I've knocked glasses of drink over because I can't quite see it properly and all this kind of stuff. It's very annoying. But I'm lucky in one sense. I got the big telly and it's on the wall in front of my car, as I call it. So I have to be careful.
Absolutely, isn't it? Because all the lights and all the game, isn't it? The screens, you have to be very careful with that.
It's like Formula One now. They can't end a race without spending several £1,000s on some stupid explosions going along. What's that about? So Darren's saying, I've only been doing lobbies lately, and after a couple of hours on the rig, I can't sleep whatsoever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
it does affect people. I think all the kind of and especially if you do quite well and you're like, oh yeah, that's been a great night, but then you can't settle your mind for ages, and that seems to be the thing.
Fifth with a headache. That's pretty good going. Good on you, man.
But so my key thing is going to be this week is trying to race, maybe probably doing more races and not having a game of Skittles.
Darren's bringing up 4 candles. The only one.
Yeah, the 4.
That is because I was bought it years ago. I used to have all of the scripts. There's like a big book you can buy of all of Ronnie Barker's scripts, you see.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wrote them all.
Yeah.
And in an interview, he was saying that, they asked, did you get people writing in with ideas? He goes, all the time. He says, the problem is they were all crap. He said, but there was one that I used. Only one. And it was the 4 candles.
Yeah.
4 candle sketch was actually someone wrote in saying they went into a hardware shop and heard someone asking for 4 candles and the shop assistant getting it all wrong and bringing the wrong thing and he just thought it was funny and wrote it in and that's how that came about.
Yeah. No, they were good. They were good.
Yeah.
So we've got Wonder to look forward to. And when I was using the wheels as well as the Logitech 920. Yes. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I used the G29 as my first wheel. And I thought, actually, that was quite a good endurance wheel. I mean, that lasted me 7 years, near enough. And I only got the 923 earlier this year. And I don't think it's anywhere near as good.
You've had nothing but trouble with it, haven't you?
Yeah, I just don't think it's a good design. And also the clips that hold it on, when you screw it in, they come off. Now, that's partly maybe to do with the design of this rig. But I don't think they just don't tighten close enough. So
do you not
you try and put them in. No, they're screwing. I've just put them down again, and it keeps coming back.
Yeah,
up.
but underneath there'll be bolt holes.
Not for the actual,
not
wheel. For this bit. I don't think so.
29 has.
All right, maybe it does. I haven't. I'll have to have a technical look at that.
2, I think they're M8 or M6.
Right. See, yeah.
You just bolt them on and then you got the clip things as well. You can add them for a bit of extra security, but it's the bolts really holding them on. Same with your pedals. The pedals have bolt holes underneath.
Yeah, well, I've done that with the pedals, and that's worked.
You should be able to do that with the wheel as well. It's much more secure that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up doing what I used to do when it was on this desk before you got me the rig. And
it just comes straight off. Not good. Not what you need when you're trying.
It's always a good way of having an excuse as to why you're rubbish. Whereas now I ain't got that excuse, so I'm just rubbish.
No. Well, on that note,
welcome to my world. See, this is another thing with Tiny Turnip because she keeps saying, and I've watched a couple of 3 of her streams, and she's saying about this. She's not fast at all. And she was doing these times on the circuit, and I'm like, oh, I'll have a go on that circuit in that car. And yeah, she's a lot faster than me, so she can shut up as well.
We're going to have Tiny Turnip on, of course, tomorrow night.
You can ask her what her definition of not fast is tomorrow. Yeah. Make sure to ask her because we love, me and Hugh, we really love the fantastic quality interviewers that are out there now, getting paid a huge amount of money. How did you? So, Tony, how do you feel about your channel? Yeah, you got to ask that at least once. Don't know.
We never asked the "How do you feel?" question.
Will never talk to us again.
No,
It'll
that's
be
not
like,
allowed.
oh
Not
God,
allowed.
idiots.
No, that's the thing. Well, thank you to everybody who's been watching tonight and contributing and commenting. It's been fantastic to have you alongside. Oh, I wonder where German Kiwi was. Of course, it's morning time.
It's real mystic saying when he first joined her on the TTTTTTTTT. Said, I'm slow, and then he came fourth.
Yeah.
German Kiwi, finally. Where you been?
Yes, we were just finishing off. We've been on for an hour. And we've got a big.
Have you noticed Hugh's taking it down to an hour these days?
It's more only because we've got another big stream tomorrow with Tiny Turnip, so which I'm really looking forward to. Actually, that should be great fun.
Yvonne's got a new rolling pin.
Yes, so I'm on strict orders that I'm only allowed to go for so long. But I hope you're feeling well, German Kiwi. It's good to have you alongside. I noticed that I didn't see your times this morning. Although to be fair, I was doing it very earlier.
Good morning, Gebs.
This morning for the races when I was doing the times.
Gebs, Gebs is kind of like a New Zealand German word for something.
Yeah.
I know it changes against. I'm just being silly.
That's the thing. But I really appreciate everybody watching and also listening on the podcast. We're actually we've hit over 10,000 downloads, by the way, on our podcast. 10,200 on our podcast on Podbean. So if you like to listen to that or support it, or even we've not got that many followers on Podbean. So if you wanted to follow us on Podbean, that would be super. It's growing well, and we're getting some good numbers on there, and we've got a lot more to do as well. But we will be having Tiny Turnip tomorrow at 9:15 UK time, and then we will hopefully have Super GT very soon as well. But thank you to all of you for watching and listening and contributing. You're watching the Hugh Hatrick Show with me, and of course, Rue.
Who?
And you want to finish with our famous line, Rue?
Is it going to involve a Capri in the wet? You're not even mentioned the Capri in the wet.
No, I didn't go for a wet spin in the Capri. That was from our short.
That was just fantastic. I will get to the tagline in a second, but that was fantastic. At Goodwood, watching and a very nice sounding Capri,
proper classic
in
Capri.
The wet, and they were not known for liking.
Well, the wheels at the front were like this. The camber were all like, they were totally, the toe angle was something else.
Well, it's like there's a guy I follow, and Serality's here as well. Hiya, Paul.
They've all come in at the end.
They're all coming in at the end, yeah. There's a guy I follow because it's just fun to watch him. A guy called Frank Kelly Racing, and he's a rally driver from Ulster. He's a Northern Irish rally driver. His daughter's his co-driver, and he's got a beautiful Mark II Escort with this 2.5 litre highly modified engine. Yeah. Normally aspirated.
A new version of that, by the way. There's a new resto mod come out with the Mark II. Yeah.
Well, this is 350 horsepower from this 2.5 litre. It's pretty special. Frank Kelly played for the Jack. He did indeed.
All right.
Yes.
2.8 Capri when the snow came down. My goodness.
Southern Irish person. He says, I love his accent. He says Kiar. We took the Kiar. And anyway, he's a complete nutter. And it's just this engine's just like good proper 1970s screaming, but it's a modern engine. Oh my goodness, it sounds amazing. But exactly the same thing. The camber.
On those
the
tires.
Negative camber on the front, because they're not having to sort of Tiny Turnip, it's here.
Tiny Turnip, yes, it's good to see you. And we're looking forward. We've just been plugging our show with you tomorrow, but so it's great to see you, and we appreciate you plugging it to your community as well. It's very kind. So we're just rounding everything up and finishing up. But Tiny Turnip, here.
I need to ask Mystic, what is a Nissan Hello Tiny? Is that some kind of special?
My dream car is a Nissan, and then it's Hello Tiny.
I know,
that's what it means. That's what it means. You're going to learn to read the comments, Ruru.
There's no punctuation. Listen, my dream car is Nissan Hello Tiny. Just like You know what the Japanese are
32.
like? They call cars things like Cedric.
Yeah.
They have stupid names. Ask Helen. She likes Japanese things. They have crazy names. So it could have been a real thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes, no, it's going to be fun tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow.
Paul's another person of a certain age and sense of
remembering
humour.
that it used to be Datsuns rather than Nissans.
Datsuns that rusted faster than they went.
Yep.
Radio was the most powerful thing in it. Though, my old roommate in Huddersfield Polytechnic, Gary, who now lives in... I can't remember the name of the blooming place. He was from Broughton anyway. Near Gisborough, and he now lives in Saltburn on the Sea. Well, he had a Datsun 160 Triple S, 1.6 litre, twin carburettor, 5-speed. The brakes were bloody awful, and it rusted like you wouldn't believe, but it was very powerful. Rear-wheel drive. Love that car.
It would be something.
See the metal dissolving as it rained.
They certainly did. That's like the old Austins as well.
Gisborough, yes. And when you go on the BBC and they call it Guisborough, and you want to jump through the telly and go, we're going to Redcar.
Well, they pronounce Alnwick. They pronounce Alnwick.
Oh, we're going to Alnwick and Harwick. Harwick and Ipswich.
Well, on that note, we will end the show. But look, thank you to everyone who's been watching today. And of course, remember, we've got our big interview with Tiny Turnip tomorrow at 9:15. So looking forward to that. And always Alpha Suds, of course. Arkies, they all come at the end. Arkies, we're just and Scooby.
You're finishing
They're
half
all
an hour
coming
early.
in. I wonder if it must be. I think Super GT must have stopped streaming because all of a sudden,
as somebody I used to know from near where you grew up used to say, you wee numpty.
Yeah. Well, Arky's very kind to Arky's. He put me in his video today and he gave me the benefit of the doubt. But it was all my fault. I got 7.5 seconds worth of penalties, and you can't hide from that.
Oh, the Citroen AX GT, Scooby.
Yes, they were.
Citroen AX GT.
Yeah.
Fast and rusting, but with a plastic bonnet. They had plastic on them as well. My next door neighbour had an AX.
Yeah, incredibly light.
Yeah, but the GT was a little rocket when it wasn't falling apart.
Just finishing some late night work. Well, it's great to have you all with us. Tomorrow we've got a big interview with Tiny Turnip.
Streaming yet? Okay. Oh, the Strada.
I saw a Strada at the Silverstone Classic. It was a Strada 180 or something, or a special one that they had. There were lots of great Fiats and Alphas.
Terrific engines.
Yeah.
I mean, those engines, even the old 2-litre twin cam Fiat engines, were just stonking. 130 horsepower from a carburettor-fed 2-litre in the 70s and early 80s. Come on.
Yeah. My father had a Fiat 107, but it wasn't a great one. But it looked very similar. And in fact, that's what I thought it was at the start. But then it was actually a Fiat Strada when I looked at the back. But no, there were some great cars at the Silverstone Classic, which if you've missed, where it's at the start of our stream tonight, which we've had some. It was a great event and well worth it. Now Arkies is saying he only saw the 5-second penalty, but he still has the replay. Please don't look at it. It was dreadful. It was all my own fault. It was terrible.
What did you do?
I was the ball in the game of Skittles. I was basically I was knocking the Skittles down, and the Skittles were cars.
Did you forget which pedal's the brake pedal? Is that what it was?
Well, it's breaking that early. I think because I had quite a good race pace, and I just people in front weren't quite well. I just wasn't able to get around them. That was the thing. So no, that was
Ark is saying about the great engines in those old Fiats, like I was just saying, and then Fiat went international, gave the terrible the bodies to the Russians and the Poles, and didn't give them the good engines.
Yeah.
So the one good thing about them, so you get your Ladas and your FSOs, and you haven't got a good engine, but you can put one of the good engines in it. That's another thing you can do.
Yeah.
I'm
going to get that car by the way.
2-litre twin cam engine. I would have that.
The Quantum classic car, and put an Alfa Romeo engine in it. and how much.
You
And
get a
then
Quantum. Do you know what I
that will
want?
be.
I think it's called, and I always get this wrong, Clarkson showed it, a Weissman.
And what was that? What was it trying to be?
Right.
Or
What
was,
he did one where he was showing open-topped
yeah,
two-seater roadsters, sports cars. He
yeah,
had TVR or Chimera or something like that, and then he
yeah.
had a Weissman. And what the Weissman is you get the old 3.2 litre straight six M3, the
Oh, yeah,
E30. Is it the E36, the one I like on Gran Turismo?
yeah, yeah,
343 brake horsepower. Take the engine and drivetrain out of it, and you put a really nice two-seater open-top body on it with
yeah, yeah,
really trick coilover
yeah,
suspension,
yeah.
and that's what you got.
Well, I'm gonna
Uh,
eventually. That is now that's my inspiration. I always wanted a Land Rover with the new Defender, but I couldn't afford 60 grand on a Defender. But maybe eventually we might get 10 grand on a Quantum chassis and an old Alfa Romeo engine, and you and I and Jonathan can try and build it, because that was the thing.
with James Ruppert.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they actually the guys that run the company said that their 14-year-old niece was able to build one for them. So they gave her all the bits, and she was only 14, and she built the whole thing.
In the
So
90s, I had this idea that I wanted to build a kit car. Now,
yeah,
I pretty much knew that I didn't have any money to do it, but I rang up all the people, and I chose as my favourite kit car company a company from Nottingham called Gardner Douglas. Somebody might have heard of them. And they used to do AC Cobra replicas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they would, various types, different donor bits. You could have, they tended to go for a Jag rear axle, that kind of stuff. But they got it handling very nicely. They had their own racing series and all this kind of stuff. Now there are people like Dax. Dax do.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, I used to like the Dax Rush because the Dax Rush is a Caterham equivalent, but you can get a long wheelbase one. You could also get a 4-wheel drive one with a Cosy engine in the front. That was quite quick. That actually had the world record for 0 to 100 and back to 0 again. With the 330 horsepower version, which weighed like 600 kilos. 4-wheel drive. It was insane. But anyway, no, but I the thing about Gardner Douglas is that they had a birdcage ladder, birdcage chassis, space frame chassis, and kit car. Knight Industries 2000. Yes. I'm sorry, Michael, but you're boring me with your hair dye now. Now, the Gardner Douglas, you could put like crappy engines in, or you could get one of their tuned 500 horsepower, 5.7 litre V8s. So it sounded like a proper AC Cobra, as well as looks like one.
Yeah.
Oh, they were gorgeous. And you could, I think back in those days, you could get the kit for 12 grand and you provided the engine and the...
Yeah.
And the,
well, I think you said if you can do it yourself, you'll save a fortune on the hours, because of the kit costing 12 grand. But if you want somebody else to build it for you, it'll end up being about 30 grand because it must be a good few weeks worth of work to get it all sorted out. Plus, you need someone with all the required tools. But yeah. Oh, yeah, we were on the Wellington Street. Yes, when we took that.
Wellington's, because it was raining.
No, actually, I was in my trainers and they were soaked through. So it was. They just began to dry out and warm up.
How long do you live in Scotland again?
When you've got warm water in your feet and you're carrying that for about and then I had a 6-hour drive back from Silverstone back up to the northeast. So it's that was fun. That.
As Arky saying about the old overhead valve, huge iron block V8s with 150 horsepower, and they weighed about 10 tons. These are the days. General Motors then bought Lotus. Yeah. So they owned Lotus, and then Lotus built them a little engine. I believe they call it the LT5 engine. At the time, it was an all-alloy 5.7 litre 32 valve V8. Whereas the normal ones were doing like 200, 250 horsepower maximum. This suddenly went to 377 brake horsepower straight out of the box. Yeah. Now it does more like 600, 700, but you know what I mean? Not bad. Not bad for a little bunch of canaries in some fens.
That was the thing. I was going to say right opposite the Chevy Nova that we saw, and it was great because that reminded me of Oh, the one that was just relaunched recently. Beverly Hills Cop, with thing in it. He always drove a Chevy Nova, and is an old
Eddie
knackered
Murphy.
out. Eddie
Was that a
Murphy had a
Chevy
Chevy
Nova, was
Nova in the Beverly Hills Cop, and there was one there, a really clean one actually, but it's huge. These
Oh
gigantic
yeah.
things, and it was right opposite the Fiat Club, where they had the Fiat 107, well, the Stratas, and they were tiny wee things, and little Fiat 500s, the early ones, right next to it. And they also did a Fiat 500 bread van, like the Mini. But yeah, so no, that was the thing. But it was interesting to see the size, of course, the speed and handling would have been polar opposites as well. But Chevy Nova reminds me of the car chase in the 7-Ups, crazy car. Yeah, no, that's it, isn't it? But no, the American cars look so massive compared to the European stuff.
They are.
And now they just look.
It's like
Well, the
every
funny
now and
thing
again you
was,
see one. There was one in Deganwy on the way to Llandudno about 10 years ago, and it's parked on the main road, going along the estuary, and it's like 2 foot sticking out 2 foot from all the British cars parked. Just
well, I tell you, let me tell you, we insulted one person because we were walking along the road in Littlehampton, and I was going. There were all these cars parked, and we saw what we knew was the worst car, or certainly one of the worst cars in the world, which of course is it's a Chrysler PT Cruiser. And this one was even worse because they tried to do bits to it, like they'd put a fake exhaust on it. They'd put a tiny
PT
little.
Cruisers are hideous.
Yeah. Well, they'd put. Oh, it was kind of bronze orange, and then also they had put a tiny little steering wheel on it, and then big exhausts, and they'd added stickers and things. And obviously just having a laugh with the car. And I said to Nicholas, look, there's a PT Cruiser. He says that's going to be in the top 5 worst cars ever made, ever on sale.
Yeah.
And it's terrible when it was new, and it's terrible now. Well, we happened to walk past, and there was a lady sitting on this bench at the side of the pavement, and she gave me this funny look, and I suddenly thought, that's her car.
Her car. Get your foot out your mouth, boy.
But I thought I still will stand by what I said. It was one of the worst cars ever made. But I remember when it launched, I went to the motor show. It must have been about 2006, 2007, I think, when they were out. And even then, they were struggling to sell them. And the salesmen were saying, "Oh well, it's because it didn't get a great reception." But even a top Chrysler manager could struggle to try and promote a PT Cruiser, and even worse, the PT Cruiser convertible. Although that was a very popular car in Glasgow. To be fair, they were very popular in Glasgow. I don't know.
Is it easier to sell drugs from?
I don't know. They could put the dogs in the back and have the roof open, and they could just jump in. But it was even worse.
At least when you got cars like the Chrysler 300C.
Yeah, we saw one of them, a really rough one.
Which was a terrible car. At least they look good.
Yeah, the big engine ones were better. They wanted $3,500 for one that looked like a barn find. It was scraped and dented, and I think it had the big engine in it, and that's why they wanted it. But in fact, just as a quick wee thing before we finish, what is back in the mid, one of my friends bought a PT Cruiser just as I bought a Citroen Berlingo, 2 hideous cars, but mine didn't ruin me. Yes, that was the thing, because I used to work
Berlingo was okay. It wasn't trying to be anything other than a very basic thing.
Yeah.
It had seats, a bit of room, and some wheels and shit.
Yeah. Well, I worked for a call center for a garage group that sold Chryslers. And at the time, this was in 2007 and 2009, they would have cars in the showroom that hadn't yet been sold that were recalled, that we would get a list coming back saying we need to recall this car. And it hasn't even left the showroom yet. And then we had people that would bring in PT Cruisers they were 3 years old, coming up 3 years old, for their MOTs. And it would cost £1,500 to get them through. Everything would fail on them. And the best thing was they would come on the phone and say, well, I've had the letter from Chrysler saying, would I want the extended warranty? And we said, yes. It's like 200 quid. Take the warranty. You'll definitely save money. I knew people who had Chrysler Voyagers and the automatic gearbox would go, and that was like 4,000 or 5,000 to fix it. That was Well, the Berlingo was a really good all-purpose vehicle as long as you weren't worried about
exactly. And there was a few of them. There was a few cars like that. I mean, Peugeot did one, didn't they? Sliding doors and all this kind of stuff. And they were just. I mean, if you want to go screaming around the countryside, But then again, most people don't want to go screaming around the countryside. What they want is something they can shove all the kids in, or shove a settee in and go.
Yeah,
You know.
and they were good on fuel. The diesel was a great car, and if you have a family
Just
as
they were
well,
light.
put
They
the
didn't
kids
have
in the
all
back.
these gizmos on it that you don't
Yeah.
need.
And the boot that is huge. It's like the Fiat Doblo, not an attractive
Well, it's
car in
based
any
on a
way.
van. It's based on a
But
van, isn't it? So
but they're great. And I used to give them away for a while. I used to get a 1.3 turbo diesel Fiat Doblo 7-seat people carrier for literally £8,000. They were discounted to like £8,000.
wow.
And that was maybe about 6 years ago because we looked at one. It's we've had 15. Like, that's fantastic. That's really good, actually. That's getting it up there.
That's
But,
more than 4. Look, because I can count to 4. I'll show you. 1, 2. No, I'm giving up now.
And next week, by the way, this is our rant. This is kind of literally our rant show on a Monday night, which is good fun. Neil will be back. Neil's coming back in a week's time. We'll have Neil as well. Oh, thank you very much, Tiny. You've given us a like, which is great. I hope you don't mind our crazy ranting. It'll be a lot more civilized, I'm sure, tomorrow. That
I hope
to be
not.
fair, it's been civilized, but it's been
I didn't go into her chat saying that I like the way you sing and swear. To have you come on this show and not get to sing and swear. What's
well,
that
tomorrow
about?
we'll see. We'll see.
Don't let him get away with anything, Tiny. Just don't.
I think I did the same
You've
thing as
been on
what
one of
people
my
have done
streams.
tonight. I think I
Yes,
came into your
joined
show,
and
to your stream, and it was
typed
ending.
a few things in. Sorry,
Right.
what? I was answering.
Have you?
It's more important than you.
I did come in. Was it last week or the week before that? I think it was just finishing up. So nothing civilized happens when I'm around. Oh well.
Civilized.
Yeah,
I particularly enjoyed on the Discord. There's a set of rules, sort of basic rules of racing, and my favourite one was try not to kill the host.
You know,
it's like she's never said that she's the fastest, but as you're racing her, try not to murder the host. That's fairly reasonable.
I'm sure that is probably
all get behind that one.
Yeah. But no, that would be super. Well, we will find out more tomorrow when we interview you. But we're looking forward to that. And thank you very much for everyone who's come across from your channel to support us tonight, and everyone who's come from our channel as well, who are our regular supporters and viewers. And for those listening on the podcast, you're very welcome to subscribe and hit that like button as we go from strength to strength here on the Hugh Hatrick channel. On that note, we will finish. And this time, Lou, get the quote right. Come on.
Okay,
get the quote right.
So, I've got to remember what it is now. Is it drive your bus on...
Drive fast. Come on, drive fast.
So, that's what I can't do, the comfort mediums one. Okay. So, drive fast, but drive your bus faster. Is that the one?
And on Comfort Sports.
On comfort hards, because it's heavy, you see, buses. You've got to...
Excellent. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9:15. Bye just now.